want to get started. I'm Trevor Waddington. I'll do a little bit of an announcement, or I guess a little description of who I am in just a couple minutes. But you did not come here for me. You came here for what you are about to see in front of you, and that is optimizing your school's web pages. As I shift some stuff around, I've got my three screens set up, so I may be looking here, there, and everywhere from time to time, including the chat. We've got the chat open. So if you have questions as we go along, I can answer them in real time. If it's something I'll cover, in the next couple slides, or something that can wait till the end, I'll answer those then. So again, thank you for being on today. I think the first thing I'll say is there's so much content online that you can really look at and glean from, as far as the user experience, from kind of a graphic design function or form function, those kind of things, sight lines. Those are all important. Those are really things that your website company really should kind of have a handle on and expertise in. I really want to focus today specifically on the user experience for prospective parents and students when they land on your page, more about what they see, the content. So that's really kind of what we're going to get into as we go through this today. And again, I've seen a couple other folks come into the room. If you have questions, please put those in the meeting chat. And if you could do me a favor, if you can hear me okay and you can see my screen, can you just give me a Y for yes in the chat? If you can. Lori, thank you so much. Thanks for doing that. So this is what we're going to discuss today. So the first thing is, why is this important? Why are you here today? If I'm not answering that question kind of right away, go about the rest of your morning, your afternoon, or your night, because I want to make sure that this is important for you. And the biggest piece of that importance is the four key elements of a remarkable user experience. Yes, there's probably 4, 10, 20 more. These are the 4 that I really want to focus on today, because these are the ones that I feel that most need to be addressed by a lot of the school websites that I go to. I probably, in the course of a week, visit 10, 20 school websites. Some of them are our own clients. We call them partners. Others, just doing some research for some of our partners and seeing what other schools are kind of doing in and around. And then really kind of translating those to school-specific best practices. There's one tool there's one tool that we love using, that we've started using over the last number of months. It's been around, but I'm going to show you that and how that can really help you decide what the user experience can and should be on your school's website. And then, as I promised, one of you all will win a free year of Enrollitics. I've got sort of a matrix over here, so we're going to ask for somebody to give us a number, and that will align with somebody, and hopefully that somebody is in here and on here today. So if that all sounds good so far, I'd love for you to put a Y, because I'm looking at all the Y's, a UX in the chat for user experience. If you're with me so far, I want to make sure everybody's alert, awake, and alive as we kind of go through this. So I know that we're all paying attention. For some of us, it's the afternoon, so maybe that afternoon cup of coffee hasn't kicked in yet. All right. The other quick thing is, I tend to be a little long-winded. I'm trying really hard to kind of not be as much of that. And this post here by Morgan Housel, I think I'm pronouncing the name right, really resonates with me. I'm a former teacher. And as a former teacher, I never liked saying it's a 5-page paper, a 10-page paper. I always felt like, if you can explain this to me in 3 pages versus 10, better. Less reading for me to do as a teacher. But really, I think that ability to succinctly tell a story is really important, and is a big part of what we're going to talk about today as well. But I say that because we've allotted an hour for this. I don't think it's going to take an hour. I've gone through this a few times, and I really want to kind of give you the meat and potatoes without a lot of extra. And I think you'll probably appreciate that as well too as we go along. So this is me. I just mentioned it. I started off as a teacher. I spent the better part of 8 years in the classroom, transitioned into marketing, admissions, communications, financial aid, all of that good stuff. And kind of along the way, as I've done, that kind of work, spent a lot of times on websites, the maturation of independent school websites from their earliest ones being very, very current parent centric and handled by, I'm using my quote fingers if you can't see, the webmaster. And that's really moved from a webmaster. Really, it was usually, the tech guy was the one that handled that stuff, now more into marketing. So, I've spent, a long time and a lot of time in this. And I think that's really, and there's a few other things we're going to kind of get into as to why these, the four elements that I'm going to show you are the ones that we have. So I'm not going to give you like the Webster's dictionary definition of what user experience is. I want you to think of one single word when I talk about user experience, and that one word is emotion. So it's the emotions a person feels when they're on your website, when they're on your app, on your Instagram page, all of that. But today I really just want to focus on your website, specifically your admission pages. And when I say admission pages, I'm talking about anything that is, I'm using my quote fingers again, because I know it's sometimes a bad word, but your sales pages, your landing pages that are attached to the ads if you're doing search, display, and social ads that are out there. So why does this matter? Parents are going to choose a school that goes above and beyond to create a remarkable experience for their children. This is what parents want now. There's more competition. They know that for a lot of schools, the demand is not as great as it used to be. So they know more than ever, because of all the stuff that's out there on the internet, that, they're in demand, not the schools necessarily. So as a part of that, they want to make sure that they, the parents, and obviously their child, is well taken care of. And what I've really just described and what you see here really is customer experience. But because 72% of independent school searches happen online, and 90% of parents and students, they're going to use online resources as a part of their search process. That's really, they're users when they come to your website. So that user experience also absolutely needs to be remarkable. And that's all starts with the first impression, right? So it takes about 0.05, not 0.5, but 0.05 seconds for users to form an opinion about your brand. That sounds crazy, but that's what I didn't do that research myself. That's the research that I did and found that. It's still crazy to me to believe that, but that's what it is. And actually, to be more specific to that, that's really, it's what that is that emotional connection to your brand, that initial emotional connection. Is it a negative one? If it is, they're going to leave. Is it a positive one? If it is, they're going to stay. So the first impression, it's likely going to be one of two pages. It's going to be a landing page because they clicked on an ad, or it's going to be on your homepage because they've done a search and they found you, or somebody's told them, hey, go to truthtreeacademy.org, or just type it in and they're going to come to you directly. So the first impression is super duper important. Now, I'm going to go a little bit out of order here as far as what should be seen, but the first thing I really want to talk about is facts. You need to have the right facts on your website, and they are your school's name, who you serve, and where you're located. I think that seems typically obvious, but you would be really surprised how often I go to schools' websites and I can't figure out, and I know how to navigate schools' websites, I can't figure out who you serve. Do you start in preschool? Do you go through high school? A lot of times I have to go to the admission pages to see the tuitions to say, okay, here's the tuition for preschool, elementary, middle, high school. So it's so important that you do that. And the other piece, and this is, and from 2018 through 2021, when I say I interviewed, a lot of them were questionnaires, and I would follow them up with emails. So these weren't like in-person interviews, but I asked questions to these prospective parents because they were searching for schools about their searching experience. And one of the pieces of of feedback that I got from them was particularly families that were looking for preschool. So here's my first huge tip. Please, 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 like put this at the top of your list. And is if you serve preschool aged kids, please put the age first, age 2 to grade 12, age 3 to grade 8. Pre-K, preschool, nursery school, people don't necessarily know what that starts with. And I've seen a lot of schools miss out on students because their website says pre-K to 8. And for a lot of parents, pre-K is age 4, when in actuality that school starts at age 2. So that's the first piece of it, is that user experiences. When I come onto your site, I know exactly if you can or cannot serve my child based on the information that's right there in front of me. All right, the next important piece that I want to share, and again, we've looked and we've analyzed over 200 landing pages for our school partners, and this includes home pages, admission pages, landing pages for search, display, and so social. So we're talking about a lot. And this is where we get into the emotional piece of it, and that you want to have an image or an in-motion video really above the fold at the very top. So certainly you can meld in some content like you can see on the image on the right side here. But what you want to do when you choose that video, and really the first 5 seconds of that video, and if it's a still image, that image, ask yourself what emotion you want the user to feel. And you want that really to match your school's ethos. So do you want them to feel excited, joyful, confident, trusting in you? Do you want to make them feel inspired? Do you want to make them feel happy? That's what you need to decide as you are putting the image at the top of that page, that first page that they visit. So a couple do's, and then I'll get into a couple of don'ts, but do make sure that your image properly represents the student body. I know that we've, in roundtables at different organizations, marketing, admissions, we do talk about this, is, you want to make sure that it's a proper representation of your student body. You don't want to necessarily have that sort of canned rainbow boy, girl, in those images, because as a part of the families that we talk to, especially diverse families coming in and not seeing the diversity that was kind of represented on the website, really makes that the user experience, that in-person user experience, not as, it really diminishes your brand in their eyes. So the next piece of that with your imagery is you want to make sure that kids are in action, teachers are in action as much as possible. Again, those canned photos, we're going to kind of take a look at one example. If it's not something that a kid does in a month's time, so that's sort of like what we say is the kind of default. If it's not something that you're going to see a kid do at that school in a 30-day period, it's not something you want to use necessarily on your website. Yes, I mean, certainly if there are field trips and things like that, but as an example, you don't want to necessarily have, because I see it a lot, you've got the image of the kids in the white lab coats, looking into a beaker of liquid. If this doesn't really happen at your school, except maybe once a year, families are onto that. They kind of know that that's a piece to it. And that's really going to have a negative effect on the user experience when they see stuff that's really, it's very canned, as opposed to, a little posy, I'd say, is okay. Now, the next one, the other picture on the right, really represents, and it's actually one of our school, this image is not, but one of our school partners, one of the things that we are helping them to do is attract more diverse families to the school. But when we first started working with them and we were on their homepage, there's a video that runs that looks very similar to this. A wrought iron gate that's a big cathedral-like building is sort of set up on a hill, and yet they're asking, families that was saying, we're an inviting school. And I said, well, does the imagery really match what you're trying to do? So whether, again, it's an image or a video, you want to make sure that the facts and the images are not sending a mixed message. So really, I mean, at the conscious and even subconscious level, that mixed message is going to diminish the user experience and really kind of turn families off. And they may stop at that page and kind of leave to explore other things. You might be on their list, but you might not be as high. All right, is everyone with me so far? Type a Y in the chat if you are still with me. Awesome, excellent, wonderful. Very awesome. Thank you. All right, so the next key element is you want the user to experience what it would be like for their child if they attended your school. Now, if you've been to a webinar of mine, you're one of our school partners, you hear me say this all the time. Parents don't necessarily care about the school's name. They care about what you can do for your child. So you want them to be able to visualize what it would be like for their child and what it would be like for them, and obviously make a positive emotional connection to what they're going to see and what they're going to experience. And if this is done right, the parent's going to feel like a hero if they enroll their child at their school. Obviously, they need to be accepted to be able to do that. But you want to make them feel like the hero for continuing, at least at that point, to navigate through your website. And this is, if this is when I say that, this is what I'm talking about. So on the left, and I've taken some of these, moved a little bit of stuff around, really just so it didn't kind of make it obvious as to who the school was or maybe where they were located. But on the left, we have some slightly modified current copy that I've seen on schools' websites. Usually it's in the first paragraph, the first sentence of the first paragraph. But students become lifelong learners who make lasting contributions to the world. I love that. That sounds great. But here's how you can modify that to really increase or up your user experience on these pages. Your student has the opportunity to become a lifelong learner who will make lasting contributions to the world at Truth Tree Academy, or because they've gone to Truth Tree Academy. The idea here is that it's your child, or as a great parent, or as you can see on the very last one, as a Christian parent, as a smart parent. So you're really appealing to the parent in that piece of it. So, as we've seen and we've looked at with our school partners, and where we've seen that transformation of the language moving from school-centric to hero-centric or customer-centric, we've actually seen an increase over time, a 5% increase in the stickiness of that page, or the engagement rate on that page. I know it's a small piece of it. What's that, all right? Because, well, of course, because they've chosen Truth Tree Academy as well they should, right? So again, a 5% increase in engagement rate just based on what we're seeing in that first sentence, or the first sentence of kind of each paragraph. And a really good way to, and this is, take a screenshot of this. I'm going to send these slides and the presentation to everyone after this. But here's a great way to look at it. Your child will fill in with one of your unique benefits because of the features. So how is that benefit being delivered, or why is that even a benefit at your school? And then at your school. So your child will benefit because of feature or features at your school. That's a great way to talk to parents to increase your ability to keep them on the site and to keep that emotion in a positive direction as they go onto your site. And one of the great ways you'll be able to kind of look for that, cheap plug for the end, is if you use our Enrolllytics, you'll be able to see over time the interaction rate for each of those pages. So you can really track, hey, people coming in from this ad we had running, let's say on Facebook, that was very hero-centric, came into our website, which was we've sort of revamped that landing page to be more hero-centric. And we're seeing a 27-second increase in engagement on that page. This works. All right, so for key element number 3, it's a little bit of story time for you. So I'm a dad. I have a 9 and a 12-year-old. And let's just say that I'm searching for an independent school, and I'm actually lucky enough to find your school while searching online. So of course, you've already utilized key elements 1 and 2. So I've navigated to your admission pages, partly because of the wonderful image or video that's really, evoking that great feeling that you've set up for me. I can easily see that you're a school that serves grades 3 to grade 12. So that encompasses the grades that my daughters are in and would be going into. And you've drawn me into your story with hero-centric language. You've set everything up. I'm feeling great about your school. But the thing is, there's a non-starter. So my youngest daughter has a severe life-threatening peanut allergy. So I want to know what your tree nut policy is. I can't, I've done a little bit of searching. I haven't found it on your website. Or let's just say, and I think that for a lot of schools, transportation is a big issue, or essentially your location as to where parents can safely, or at least not spend all day getting their kids to and from school. So let's say everything looks great so far, but you are 15 minutes to the west. I live here and work is 15 or is off to the east. It's an inconvenience. I see that you have transportation, but I can't see where those bus routes are. So I just real quick want to know, like, what's your peanut allergy policy, maybe, or I want to find out about transportation. So when these questions come up, I'm a parent. I don't have a lot of time. Like, I've got stuff to do. I have to do a webinar in 10 minutes. So I need answers now. And if I can't find them, do I really need to do all of this stuff? What about just, take my first name, my email, and answer my questions? A great way to get some of that information. And I know some of you are thinking, yeah, but you know what? Now they're underqualified leads and we have too many of those. We really want people to be qualified leads. And I'd say, hey, listen, if you're in a position where you're full with wait lists, then, what I'm about to say, take with a grain of salt. But for those that are not full, that do not have wait lists, any way that you can get their information without them having to jump through major hoops is super important. And this is what I see a lot. I see, hey, got a question, or do you want to inquire? Great. Create an account. All right. I don't really want to, but fine. I'll create an account. And then on that next page, name, address, phone number, email address, birth date of child, current school, work address. Like, why do I need all of, and some of the stuff, I'm not even ready to give you. And it may say, like, be very obviously, only these cells are required, but people don't always see that. So you're already, like, sort of creating a barrier between them just getting some simple information. That can be very frustrating. And as we're going to see at the end, frustration is absolutely the #1 user experience killer. And I'm going to show you how we can kind of look at that to get rid of some of those frustrations, and how we've actually done it for Truth Tree's website to get rid of some of those frustrations. Any questions so far? Again, feel free to put those right in the chat as we go along. So I'm a firm believer in giving parents or students that come to your site different levels in which they could communicate with you and with the school. So we've found that we've tracked with 24 of our own school partners who've added a quick capture form or provided additional ways for prospects to make contact with them beyond what they already had on the site. So some did have an inquiry form, RSVP for this, and obviously we all have apply. But by increasing what they've had, we've been able to see a 13% increase as compared to the previous year. So again, it's cyclical. I don't want to say 6 months compared to the last 6 months. Well, the last 6 months were the spring and the summer. This is the fall and the winter. So it was that same time period, 13%. Now, we haven't been able to get, because one of the things we're doing now is trying to look at, okay, among those 13%, what was the qualification of those? Because if it goes back to 0, then yeah, a lot of the stuff that I just said may not qualify for you. But preliminary data coming back is that it is helping them get more leads, more inquiries, so they can then communicate with that family and maybe answer some other questions or get them in the fold earlier so they can build value throughout that process. And really kind of speaking of that value, and actually, like, I see that Lisa has a question. Should the contact form be on the homepage? That's a great question. That's actually something I'm going to address, but I'll address it right now. You should have a contact page on every single page of your website. Your website is a marketing piece. For current parents, they can go to the portal. I'm sure there's a calendar click that they can do to see what time the soccer game or where the soccer game is. But you should have a form or you should have some way for parents to communicate with you on every single page. So whether it's the admission page, the welcome, or some description that I see in there or anywhere, or maybe let's say I go to the 6th grade math curriculum page and I start reading about that, and I'm like, yes, this is the kind of math my kids should be learning. How do I make myself known to Lisa or to the school? Let me go to the bottom, because sometimes you go to that footer and you click contact us, and I've seen this. There's somebody on this call whose website I went to who I'm going to actually email after this, because the contact page has which department do you want to contact. It has a map, which department do you want to contact, and then it has some other information, but it doesn't have a form, or it doesn't have a big button that says click here to contact so-and-so. I think that's really important. So absolutely every page should have a clear way for people to make contact with the school. Put some stuff in there, 1 + 1 = 2, or, the Capisce, or whatever it is, to make sure, you're not getting spammed, but you want to give them that ability to do that. So now put an A in the chat. I want to make sure you're alert, awake, and alive. If you're still with me, put a nice big capital or lowercase a. Awesome. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for letting me know that I'm not just talking to Brianna, that we're all still in here. So actually, I'm going to ask you to do it again. I'll put a letter B for bike. So now, if you, and don't put it in there yet, because I haven't done anything yet. If you have purchased something from Amazon, not other websites, but if you've purchased something, I'm just going to put a little, we'll put a G in here. It's the first button I clicked. So don't type anything yet. Why did it say, oh, that was directly to somebody? I don't want to do that. Everyone in the meeting. There we go. I'm going to put a G so everybody can see the G. If you have purchased something from Amazon in the last 29 days, in the month of November, put a B for bike, but put a B in the chat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my gosh, that's just like everybody, I think. Everybody. I don't know how many people are actually in the room because I can't see. However, Elaine, for the weirdest reason, it keeps changing over for me to message you directly. I don't know why that is, but that was a lot of you at very, very least. You counted 26. All right, well, there we go. So that's a lot of B's. Now, when you go on there, we've got 3 selections right here. So how this relates to what you all are doing is value. So let's say that you do go and maybe you have bought a bike and even a mountain bike. So you can probably share all of this information because you've done all the clicks and you've done the research. But as I look at this, each one of these brings different value to the table. So the bottom one, the Mongoose Flat Rock, it's $259. It's more expensive than the other ones. Not by much from the top one, but they've listed it on sale. So I think $310. So for a lot of people, hey, it's the most expensive one. Therefore, it's the best one. All right. In the middle, we have the overall pick. So to me, overall says, okay, this is the best bet. Plus, it's also the cheapest. So it's the best bet. Somebody picked it. You can hover over the overall pick, and you can usually, you can see what that says. But that's a best bet. Plus, it's cheap. But the top one says bestseller, and bestseller also has 4,242 reviews compared to 401, compared to 223. But they all have the same amount of stars. So to me, that's super intriguing because 10 times the number of people have reviewed that one. So there's got to be some real validity to it. I mean, maybe the 223 for the Mongoose at the bottom, some of those are, paid, are not really authentic. You would imagine of the 4,000 and change that a lot of those are going to be that way. So My mentality, I'm sure that some of you are shaking your head like, yeah, that's how when I look at these things, I look at the overall choice, the best sellers, what's most expensive, what's on sale, what's going to get it to me, by, if I ordered it right now at 2:02 p.m. Eastern time, is it going to be here by 5 o'clock? Certainly there's some times where that has happened, and it's kind of cool. Now, how does that relate to exactly what we're talking about? The deal is that the best source of value is going to be some sort of proof. So we saw 3 indications of proof: bestseller, Amazon choice, and we saw one that was most expensive. For some people, that is proof enough that that is the best school in the area that I'm looking for because it's most expensive. But a lot of that boils down to what all of those, at least a lot of those indicators, are about what somebody else thinks or what somebody else says, whether it's Amazon, whether it's the people that say this is a bestseller, or whether it's the mongoose builders that say we have the best one, so we're going to sell it for the most money. So how you can demonstrate value, and these are some obviously some hypotheticals here, but when you're demonstrating value, think about what's going on those web pages. Think about the user. Think about me, the parent that comes to your website. And man, you're a lot of money, whether you're the least expensive or the most expensive school in your market. So and I go in for a tour and all that stuff. You all get paid to tell me how great your school is. All right. Parents don't. Alumni don't. So in this case, you really, really, really want to make sure that you are conveying as much value as possible. All right. If you have an educational psychologist as a parent at your school, beat down their door to get a testimonial from them. All right. Use images of the people that are providing these testimonials and get as detailed as you can. Dr. Renee Davis is a current 7th grade parent. She's giving specifics as to why she was drawn. She's an expert. She's an educational psychologist. She knows how important highly educated teachers are. The one at the top's okay, but it's a no-face current parent that's saying, yeah, this place is good. You should check it out. All right. It's about that value. And if you can get it in a testimonial, again, and you can get it from a next level admission director. At one of my schools, I was able to get the admission director at the high school in the town, which was a major place where a lot of our students went. I said, hey, can you give us a quote? And this is a very, very similar quote to what that admission director put up. We put that all over our website. Are you kidding me? It was everywhere on our website. We asked other admission directors and they said, well, we'll get back to you. We don't feel super comfortable. But to get that one, it was a huge boost. Image, name, title, and the university, and maybe Mongoose University is a great college. And if that's the case, obviously it's going to hold more validity. The other great way for you to enhance that user experience is through what I would say is unique infographic information. All right, somewhere, I don't know how far back it goes, but some school was school 8, was school 0 that said, hey, what if we did an infographic where we put, said small class sizes, but, average 15 students per class. Well, so many schools do that now, but some school had to be the first. And I bet you that had a huge advantage for that school at the time. So think about, besides the typical ones, the acreage, the year founded, the number of students, the countries that students are coming from, all of those stuff. A lot of schools have those, but you want to get a little kind of highfalutin. 9 graduates have served in Congress. That to me is pretty powerful. Or students average 74 minutes of time outdoors. Click here to read the latest research on why that's so beneficial. Is 74 minutes a lot? For some schools, yes. For some schools, no. But the fact that you're putting that out there first is great. Or go down to the second bullet from the bottom, 1,045. That's the number of hours our teachers spend doing professional development each year. Is that a lot? That really depends on the number of teachers. But by you putting that information out there first and other schools aren't doing it, you become the outdoor school, or you become the school where teacher excellence is you are the top game for teacher excellence. So think about data that you can provide them in infographic fashion that captures the ethos of your school. That's going to be huge for user experience on your website. I told you at the top, we wouldn't necessarily take a whole hour. So we're just a couple slides away. These are specifics that I've seen, I'd say over the past month. As I sort of prepared for this and as I looked at different schools' websites, I really was looking at from that user experience lens even more so. So your homepage is a sales page. Okay, that's what it is. It's not an info hub for current community members. So please make sure that if it is for current parents, it's kind of somewhere at the bottom. You don't want to have a lot of current event type stuff at the top. You want to emote people. More so than you want to inform them. We've all got parent portals, places where parents can go to find that information. Have it at the top, so make it easily clickable, but just make sure that the vast majority of your homepage is built for prospective parents to come onto it. Not calling anybody out, please no more PDFs. Please no Word docs. Word docs just scream like this is information that we just didn't feel like putting on the website. One big piece of PDFs and Word docs is when Google scrapes your website, comes through your website to see like what information you have on there, it doesn't take that into account. It takes into account what the copy is and what SEO, what optimizations you've actually made to the site. So please, please, please take any PDFs and Word docs and make that content on the pages. Another big thing, because you want to keep them on your website, make sure every single link on your website opens to a new tab, even if it's an internal link taking you to another page on your website. Have it open up in a new tab. Make sure they stay on your site, because as soon as they leave your site, it signals to Google and other search engines that session is over. And the more short sessions you have, the lower you will rank in a Google search. Ditch the donate button on admission pages. So if it's in your header or if it's somewhere highly visible, if there's a way to get rid of it, I'm not a fan of donate pages. In the research we've done with parents, they're already looking at, a huge financial investment. What you're saying is, yeah, you're going to pay this much money, but guess what? This is really important that you donate more money to us. It makes parents, it makes them on edge a little bit. It makes them feel nervous. Like, what's the minimum? If I don't donate, am I going to get kind of called out? So I would say ditch that button. We do enough, and the other piece to that too is if I'm a current parent and I go to your Facebook page and especially, Giving Tuesday, and I see all the past 10 messages are about giving, give today. Oh my gosh, we've got 5 minutes left to give. I'm like, oh man, that's a lot of pressure for me to kind of step up. So, lessen that a little bit. I know you want those dollars, but I think for every school out there, and if I'm wrong, put it in the chat. A far more of your revenue comes from tuition than it does from those giving dollars. Now, I say all that. I'm biased as a former admission and marketing director, being in an office by myself and looking across the hallway at the alumni director, assistant alumni director, the annual fund manager, and all of those things, and bringing in like 15, maybe 20% of the revenue, and I'm bringing in the other. I'm responsible for bringing the other 80%. I'm like, where's my help? So I don't know. All right, true. Thank you, Heather. Thank you very much. All right, a couple other things. Bridging the gap. Okay, I talk about this a lot too. You call it lower, middle, and upper school, or you call it like ECC or nursery school. It's not what parents search for. So if they click onto your site and they see lower school, like, okay, like what's lower school? So again, a little bit of that frustration is I don't know what lower school is. On your website, as much as you can, refer to it as to what parents refer to it. I'm not telling you to go to everybody and say, guess what? We have to change the name of the lower school to elementary school to appease the internet. But the parents don't know what lower school means. They know what elementary means. They know what high school means. They know what preschool means. They know what pre-K means. But ECC is a standalone, they don't get. Tuition shock. And this graphic on the right side kind of talks about this. And I've got blogs and videos just on tuition shock. And that is, you are not obligated to put your tuition at the top of the tuition page. All right. You don't want to bury it under 2 more clicks. And then that final click says, Well, we have variable tuition, so call us and we'll discuss. Like, you don't want to do that. But at the same time, if you're a high-priced school, you really want to make sure that you're able to build value at the top of that. So I go back to those testimonials that you saw a few minutes ago. Put those on the page. Talk about and have some of those testimonials talk about what an important investment, not expense, investment your school is. So when they do see that number at the bottom, they're like, oh man, that's a lot, but oof, man, it's a great investment that's going to pay big dividends down the line. Oh, I missed one, didn't I? Heck, I missed two. 2 clicks to register for an event. If I click register for an event, don't take me to another page to click in, then a calendar to choose, and then this. Make it 2 clicks. All right. Anything where they're giving you their information should be no more than 2 clicks. And then do students, here's another great one. Your admission steps to apply, all the paperwork that's needed, all of those things. Get a 5th grade student, 4th, 5th, 6th grade student to go onto that page and then spend time on there and then explain to you what the process is. And if they can't do it, you need to make it so they can do it. That's a big source of frustration. Like, what paperwork do I need? Does my 7th grade, I don't understand, does my 7th grader need to get a whisk? And then do I need 2 English teacher recommendations? You'd be surprised. We're look like, yeah, it's plain as day what the process is, but maybe it isn't to them. So that's another big piece is that those steps and that protocol. All right, quick recap. Good, we did it in about 45 minutes. First impressions, that image, the content that's on there, make sure that you are making the best possible first impression you possibly can. Second one is don't give them it's either jump off the cliff or don't, apply or don't apply. Give them different levels. Give them stairs, an escalator, a pulley system, any way to get to that next, to get down, I guess, because you're not going to jump off the cliff. So that's kind of a weird analogy, but the idea is give them multiple ways to make contact with you other than applying. Third one is make your admission copy, about the user, about the child, about the parent first, and the school second. And then the fourth one is, make the visit to all of those pages as memorable as possible, right? You want every page to have value and to build value, not just be an info dump of stuff. Testimonials are great. Infographics are great. Video testimonials are great too, or heck, a video infograph. All of those pieces are going to be critical for the user experience as they come onto your page. And I'm going to see what questions you have, and then I want to show you a really great tool that can help you. So any questions that you all have so far, you can put those in the chat. What questions do you have about anything that we've just discussed? What's the ideal length for an infographic or video? Lisa, so I'll start with the video. It depends. I mean, we all have that full school expensive video that's 3 to 4 minutes long. You can have that there. What I would say, and this is great too for if you're going to do paid YouTube ads, is that first 5 seconds. Really, I mean, we already saw the first 0.05 seconds, but that first 5 seconds needs to capture their attention. And a lot of times these videos, they start off with sort of the fast moving clouds or kids walking in and out of the school. But a lot of times it's something that you don't know it's a school yet. It's setting those up. And then there's a talking head. It's the head of school that says, at our school, something, something, something. You want to capture emotion in those first 5 seconds. And then short form videos are awesome. 15, 30, 45 seconds. Keep it under a minute. Keep them engaged. You don't want them to be bored. And then the other one, let me just go back to all the way over here. You said, infographics. 10 sort of bullets, 10 infographic pieces. And then if you can feed that into, hey, 15 students per class. Why is that important? Click here. Founded in 1857. Why is that important? Because we've got, however many years of experience doing what we do. So you want to have those infographic pieces, but also why is that important? Because I see a born on date and I'm like, okay, great. You're 400 years old. This school is 20 years old. What's the difference? I mean, some people will, more prestige over here, but why is 400 years important? John asks, is there a limit of how long the tuition page should be if we're adding a lot of value copy? You don't want it to be more than like 3 or 4 scrolls or thumbs up. If that's what they're looking for, they're obviously going to get down to the bottom, but you don't want to sort of bury it under a lot of stuff. The other piece that's good for value is, especially unless your financial aid budget is totally bloated and you never have really a whole lot for new students coming in, put information about financial aid on that page. I know a lot of schools have the Affording Our School, and it does talk about tuition, affordability, financial aid, scholarships, but you don't want to miss an opportunity for parents to, if they see that number and they're like, forget about it, leave the site. You don't want them to have missed the opportunity to pay less than that bottom line number. Is there a tool you can recommend for creating infographic videos? Infographic videos, Canva, I think would be a good choice. That's what I've used for this presentation. I love Canva. I have blinders for Canva, if you will. So that's not something I've explored. Maybe somebody can put something in the chat. All right, there's a lot of great Facebook groups for school marketing. That'd be great. And I've seen a similar question in there. So that might be a good thing to if you're not a part of one of those groups, find one. We have one, School Marketing Heroes. Check that out, and you can ask that question there. Kathy asks, is it normal to post tuition because we do financial aid? Most schools do post tuition. I think parents kind of expect to see that number. They'll go searching for tuition. A lot of times it'll be on review pages. And on review pages, I don't know too many schools that have all 5 stars out of 5 stars. So they're going to start reading those reviews. You want to control the narrative before they're able to see reviews as much as possible. All right, last but not least, and I do have a couple other things. Not last but not least, excuse me. The tool that I wanted to tell you guys about, and I have no vested interest, I don't invest in this, I just love it, is Hotjar. So with Hotjar, I'll just give you an example. So there's a frustration meter. It tells you about people and are they frustrated as they're going on your site. And you can actually see, from here that it follows their cursor as they move around the page. I don't know if you got what link you got, but if you came to our website and signed up for this webinar, we had a little pop-up that came up at the bottom. What we quickly found out was the X that's right here was too small, and people were having difficulty clicking on the X. Now, the other thing, because not everybody knows this, and I didn't until like a year ago, you can actually click back on the body and this will disappear. So based on Hotjar, we actually made the X bigger, making it easier to unclick it because we want people to stay on our website. Sure, we want people to sign up for this, but we really want people to stay on our website. So you can sign up for a free account, but what it's going to show you as people traverse your website and go through is where are those frustration points on your website? Where are the ones where they make what's called a U-turn, going to a page that maybe they thought certain information was on, and they immediately go back to the other page that they were just on. This is why I like for people to open new tabs as they come to the website. So definitely check out Hotjar if you haven't, and you can easily install that on your website or have your website company install it for you.